Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times. I'm Aditi Prasad, and with me is Hindustan Times defense editor Rahul Singh. Welcome to the show, Rahul. One more sensitive friction point has been resolved between India and China along the line of control. The Indian Army has just announced a short while ago that the Indian and Chinese troops have agreed to disengage at the Gogra friction point and ceased any forward deployment in that area. Now, this means that all temporary structures by created by both sides along the LAC have been dismantled. Landforms have been restored to the pre-standoff period, what was there before the standoff started, which is almost 15 months ago. Rahul, one more sensitive area resolved with this. Your views, please.
Hi, Aditi. Good evening. This is certainly a very significant development, and it comes just after the 12th round of talks between the two armies. There were a lot of expectations that Gogra was likely to be resolved after these talks. That has taken place now. A disengagement took place on August 4 and August 5, has been verified by both sides. Like you said, troops have moved back to their permanent bases, and whatever structures were erected by both sides after the standoff began in May 2020 have been dismantled. And this is the second point at which, along the contested LAC, where disengagement has taken place. It earlier took place at Pangong Tso after the ninth round of talks in mid-February. So this is certainly a very positive development as far as the border issue is concerned.
You mentioned Pangong Tso, Rahul, and therefore I have to ask this. That disengagement happened almost 6 months ago, but you don't see a reduction in troops along the line of actual control, both from the Indian side as well as from the Chinese side. How do you make sense of that? What's happening there?
No, that's a very valid question, Aditi, because even after the disengagement took place at Pangong Tso, and it's been 6 months, yet both armies have around 50 to 60,000 soldiers deployed in their immediate depth areas. By immediate depth in military parlance in this sector is about 150 to 200 kilometers on either side. So that those troops remain deployed there. So there's an angle of mutual suspicion after what happened in Galwan last year. You're aware of that brawl in which 20 Indian soldiers were killed. PLA troops were also killed in that skirmish. If for some reason things go bad, they want to ensure that they're able to scramble troops very quickly to the disputed sites, which is why they are keeping this presence, which you mentioned, which is about 50 to 60,000 troops on both sides, and also includes advanced weaponry, includes tanks, includes infantry combat vehicles.
What do you think could be the reason from the Chinese side for agreeing to this disengagement at Gogra?
See, please remember that the 12th round of talks took place after a meeting between the foreign ministers of the two countries in Dushanbe. I think this was on the July 14th. And before that, the diplomatic level talks took place in June, I think June 25th. So a lot of groundwork had been done. And by no means, Aditi, this is a swift disengagement. This is happening like we talked after 6 months of Pangong Tso. So a lot of work has been done behind the scenes, and both countries are eager to kind of resolve this problem because when we talk about flashpoints, what are flashpoints? Flashpoints are where soldiers are deployed eyeball to eyeball, and in that kind of deployment, there is a possibility of things going sour, turning bad very quickly. Any minor issue can lead to, any provocation can lead to things getting out of hand. So in that sense, it's a very positive development. And also, if you remember, the Chinese side was very keen when the disengagement process began that it should kick off at Pangong Tso, where we had occupied some strategic heights on the South Bank and the Kailash range. And I think that led to building of some sort of trust. I mean, while the overall suspicions remain, but it kind of led to this understanding that we are capable of hammering out a disengagement agreement and sticking to it, like we are sticking to it. Both sides are sticking to it in the Pangong Tso sector, and also when you talk about negotiations, both sides must feel that they have benefited from that arrangement. So I guess both sides now feel were confident enough that the current disengagement in Gogra will be good for both sides, and it will also, eliminate the chance of any contact between the troops, which could lead to an ugly situation.
The Chinese troops, the tiredness of the Chinese troops, possible because they're not used to staying up at that height. Do you think that could also be playing a role as far as China's
Uh,
decisions are concerned?
No, certainly, that's something which cannot be ignored, because the Indian Army is has been holding heights on the Siachen Glacier in other parts of Ladakh in the northeast, in the central sector. So we are kind of used to, our troops are quite comfortable at those heights. But for China, this was a new thing, and so that could have also been a reason for a rethink on their future course. But if you look at the big picture, this comes 6 months after Pangong Tso. This comes after a lot of talks at the government level, at the diplomatic level. So good sense has dawned in, and it's nice that both sides have decided to have actually pulled back from Gogra, and this also has kind of ignited hopes for disengagement at other flashpoints along the border.
Let's talk about the other flashpoints.
When the talks started, Pangong Tso was looked like the most difficult area. The Chinese had really come up to our side on the north bank, in the Finger area, and as a countermeasure, in August last year, we occupied heights in on the south bank. But that was after that was worked out. Gogra and hot springs were seen as low hanging fruits, and almost all of us covering the subject in our interactions with the army leadership, got a sense that Gogra and hot springs would happen very quickly. I mean, it's taken 6 months. The expectations were they should have happened like really quickly. But the army chief, in an interaction with Hindustan Times, he told us that it's unrealistic to expect positive outcomes after every round of talks, because Pangong Tso disengagement also happened after 9 rounds of talks, and Gogra has happened after 3 more rounds, which is 12 rounds. But certainly, it has raised hopes for early resolution of outstanding problems at Hot Springs, which is also known as Patrol Point 15, and is close to Gogra. Now the tough aspect, the tough bit will be Depsang. But let's be clear about it. Depsang, the problems at Depsang are not did not start with the current standoff, which began in May 2020. The problems at Depsang predate the current standoff by several years. This is something we've been having problems over there since 2013-14. So the big test for both sides will be how quickly and how effectively they can work out a solution at Depsang. It's not just disengagement is not the end result. The outcome which both sides would be looking at is a total de-escalation of the conflict. So after this disengagement is completed at all friction points, then we look at de-induction of soldiers and equipment, which means they're going back to the barracks where they were before this whole thing flared up. And only when that happens, there will be an overall de-escalation of the conflict. So we are still very much in the first phase of the process, but the outcomes are looking positive as of now.